Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to No Final Bell episode 8. Um, we usually talk about wrestling on this show, but we kind of wanted to start off with a little um, boxing. As we know, Jake Paul is not. Well, Jake Paul did go up against Tyron Woodley back in the day. The bet for Tyron Woodley against Jake Paul was that the loser would have to get I love whoever said person won tattooed on their somewhere on their body. So Tyrone Woodley brought upon himself to get "I love Jake Paul" tattooed on his finger, as showing sign that he wants the rematch. Well, said rematch is gonna have to wait a little bit, as Jake Paul is supposed to be set to go up against Tommy Fury, the son, the actually not the son, the brother, the younger brother of Tyson Fury, the one that recently beat Wilder. Now, because of this, there's also another bet that's going on between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. The bet is that if Tommy Fury loses, he's got to legally change his name to Tommy Fumbles. But if Jake Paul loses, he's got to pay Tommy Fury an additional $500,000 on top of the $1 million that was already guaranteed money for the fight itself from Jake Paul's party. Now, hearing this, it's crazy to think that Tommy Fury, the younger brother who was on the undercard said of the same night said event, it will be going up against Jake Paul, who went up against Tyron Woodley. And from what I saw, Woodley was rocking Jake Paul quite a lot in that boxing match. Now, Marty, if we know anything about Jake Paul, this is the first time he's actually going against a legit boxer, somebody that was
Yeah,
trained in boxing.
yeah.
If you were to see, Jake Paul, don't get me wrong, he's definitely showed some promise, being the problem child and, training to become a professional boxer. But if you see this fight coming up against Tommy Fury, who, you know, you've seen how Tyson Fury is. Do you
hmm
think that Tommy might have that same success in being able to finally shut up Jake Paul for once and for all?
Um, I would at least hope so, but at the same time, never say never, and you can never count out Jake Paul. You can never count out Tommy Fury for that matter.
Right.
Um, Whoever wins, I'm sure there will be a lot of people shocked at the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of who wins, because if Tommy Fury wins, then nobody would have expected that. If Jake Paul wins, then in a way, I'm sure a lot of people would expect that, but then again, maybe not. Maybe
Right.
there'll be some people genuinely shocked that Jake Paul beat a legit boxer and not. Um, but we'll see what happens with the fight. I'm kind of rooting for Tommy Fury, but at the same time, I'm not entirely ruling out Jake Paul.
Right. I mean, I'm not really ruling out Jake Paul either. But then again, there's a big but. I really do think that Tommy Fury happens to be probably the heavy favorite because of his, you know, plus I don't know how much experience he has in the boxing ring. He might be as new as Jake Paul, for all we know. But then again, he might have been trained by his brother or trained by the same gym as his brother. Who knows? But I will say, Tyson Fury is one hell of a boxer and is currently a boxing champion. And also, Tommy Fury is coming off of a victory himself. So the momentum is certainly good. And, you got Tommy Fury. I don't know his record, but I would assume it's a really good one against the undefeated Jake Paul, who, if you look at it, he has not fought anybody that has any kind of boxing pedigree. Tommy Fury has a boxing pedigree. What I mean by boxing pedigree is, I mean, he has devoted his life to training to be a professional boxer. Jake Paul has been training to become a professional boxer. This is going to be the first boxing match, and I think this is going to be something that's going to be good for both men moving forward. Don't get me wrong, Jake Paul, see, we didn't even know if he was going to stay retired. There was big rumors, oh, well, Jake Paul is going to retire and stay hot. Then, oh, well, he might go up against somebody, and like, rumors are just rumors at the end of the day. Clearly, he wasn't going to stay retired. That would be stupid of him for doing. So I hope Tommy Fury goes into that boxing match and proves to Jake Paul, maybe you should have stayed retired before you got, your big old egotistical head got even, bigger and thought, oh, well, I'm on top of the game. I'm super young. I can do this. I can beat anybody. That's just the whole egotistical asshole coming out of him. It really is. I hate to say it. I don't want to downgrade anybody, but it's kind of sad that your older brother is a little bit more well-mannered
and level-headed
than you are. Like, don't get me wrong, Logan can still be very egotistical, will support his brother. That's a brother's thing. You still want to support your brother, but sometimes you gotta be like, hey man, your head might be a little screwed on a little tighter than, it should be type of thing. Yeah. So, there's that. I don't know if Marty has any kind of impact or anything news.
Yep.
Oh, yes. He does. So, I was going to say this now. We did originally was recording this. We had to cut it short and then accidentally kind of stopped recording. Kind of deleted it. So we're doing a second take. The first take was originally not going to have anything impact-wise. The second take is actually going to have impact-wise. So we're kind of going to ship sales from boxing into Impact and then ship sales from Impact to AEW.
We're shifting gears, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to give all the full attention to my brother Marty to the left of me.
So, yes. Last week, when we were recording this, it would have been last week. We do probably have some matches from yesterday as well as the day that we are recording this for the Digital Media Championship Tournament. However, right now I'm solely focused on last week's. So, for the Digital Media Championship Tournament, last week we had 2 matches. We had John Skyler versus Zicky Dice. The result, John Skyler beat Zicky Dice. And we also had Crazy Steve versus Hernandez. The result of that is Crazy Steve beat Hernandez. So the only 2 people that we know of so far that have advanced and are going to be in a 6-man match to determine the Digital Media Champion are John Skyler and Crazy Steve on BTI. So I'm not sure if you caught the last episode of of No Final Bell. The last episode I did talk about how Matthew Raywalt was a bit impressed by Laredo Kid, and this week on BTI, which is what they filmed before Impact Wrestling starts on Access TV, Laredo Kid and Matthew Raywalt faced off, and Laredo Kid beat Matthew Raywalt. Just a heads up, I do not have the tapings. I don't have notes on the tapings of what happened for the Impact before Knockouts Knockdown, but I do have Knockouts Knockdown news. So the first match that kicked off Knockouts Knockdown was an opening contest for the Knockouts Knockdown tournament. Rachel Ellering defeated Lady Frost in the first round. Chelsea Green defeated Renee Michelle in the first round. Mercedes Martinez defeated Brandy Lauren. Tasha Steele defeated Jamie Senegal. That's all opening round. Then we move on to a non-title match. Deonna Purrazzo defeated Masha Slamovich. Then we get into semifinals. Mercedes Martinez defeated Rachel Ellering, and Tasha Steele defeated Chelsea Green. But the big news that came out of Knockouts Knockdown, the Impact Hall of Fame is right around the corner. They are going to be inducting somebody this year. And who better, who more deserving, especially at Knockouts Knockdown, to have be inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame than somebody, along with Gail Kim, who pioneered the Knockouts division in
Awesome
Impact
Kong.
Wrestling. Awesome Kong.
Yeah, I figured.
Awesome Kong is going to be inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame.
As she should. I mean, she's...
What a deserving inductee.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, she really did pivoted the Knockouts division to high standards. I mean, don't get me wrong. Credit Gail Kim as much as you can.
Yeah.
There were so many great women that you can. I mean,
shoot, you could
the
even
beautiful,
credit...
the beautiful women.
The beautiful people. The beautiful people.
Well, the people,
You could
Gail
even,
Kim,
Gail Kim, Awesome
Karen
Kong.
Angle. I mean, even though she wasn't really a wrestler, but
she did
still.
have she did really play a pivotal role in like a lot of angles. No pun intended. So, next up we have a 4-way Monsters Ball match consisting of Kimberly, Savannah Evans, I believe. Either way, there was a 4-way Monsters Ball match and Savannah Evans picked up the win. Then we get the finals of the Knockouts Knockdown. Mercedes Martinez actually picked up the victory. That's pretty huge, considering that Mercedes Martinez is a former NXT superstar. And now here
crazy.
she is in Impact Wrestling and already gets a future Knockouts Championship match by winning the Knockouts Knockdown tournament. And then, of course, your main event of Decay versus The Influence for the Knockouts Tag Team titles. Should it be pretty obvious? Decay retained.
Yeah.
Decay retained.
That sounds about right.
Would I have liked to potentially have seen The Influence take the tag team title? Sure, but at the same time, I don't feel like the timing is right for The Influence. I feel like eventually The Influence might become the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. I feel like Tenille Dashwood eventually will win some sort of Knockouts title in Impact Wrestling. Maybe not the actual singles Knockouts title, but maybe eventually she'll have a Knockouts championship of some sort in her,
if not the tag team
in
titles.
her grasp. Yeah, exactly. If not the tag team title with Madison Rayne. Well, that's the thing too. As far as I know, Madison Rayne has not won a Knockouts tag team title. Maybe she has when she was with the Beautiful People for that brief period of time. I know she's a former multiple-time Knockouts champion, but as far as Knockouts tag team champion, I am not too sure.
I mean,
either way, I feel like it's eventual.
It's gonna eventually happen.
Yeah. Now we get on to AEW talk.
Yeah. AEW talk from... This is from Philadelphia, Philly. So, that crowd really was... It rocked AEW big time between Dynamite and Rampage. That crowd was sold out more than Rochester. I mean, I won't lie. I'm going to not sugarcoat it at all. It was packed, but there was a lot of missing seats.
There were a few empty seats, yes.
This stadium, or not the stadium, this arena in Philadelphia was jam-packed. There was just, I didn't see any empty seats at all. Philadelphia is just such a great wrestling city. I mean, it's what bred hardcore wrestling, and when you got a show like AEW that's on the edgier side, you're gonna get that kind of, crowd there. But to start the night, the Super Click, or the Super Elite is what they like to call themselves, wearing a nice black and white. Definitely looking at showing off that whole NWO type of thing, and well, but the Super Elite, they're really replicating the NWO, huh? Yeah. sounds like every butthurt fan that's just like, they shouldn't be using the whole too sweet. That's NWO's thing.
Do people
They shouldn't be wearing black and white. Do people
do
understand that
people
they
not
got
realize that they were doing this stuff since Bullet Club days?
right? Exactly. So you know, so what? I mean, yeah, they're not bitching on the interwebs about it right now. At least I don't think they are. I mean, they
People
probably are.
people bitch and moan about the Young Bucks and all their stuff all the time. So,
And
matter of fact,
right,
uh, just today, the Young Bucks updated their bio to address all of their haters, basically, and
right.
saying, like, oh, stop doing all this stuff. I hate it. You're the reason why I stopped watching. Like, you have go away heat. It's like,
All right,
okay,
so fine.
while I can agree with the fact that the Young Bucks do have go away heat,
Mm-hmm.
that's their character.
Right, exactly. That's them right
They're
now.
doing their job.
They're heels, yes. Well, I will
If
say
you
I've
don't
been.
like them, then they are doing their job.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I will say I've been saying it a lot on this show. I've been saying it a lot outside of the show to Marty. I've been saying all along I would be totally fine with the Jurassic Express and Company. Oh yeah. By the way, the Super Elite did beat the Jurassic Express and Company. I should have specified that to begin with. But yes, the Super Elite did beat Jurassic Express and Company. I've been saying it on the show. I've been saying it outside of the show that I think both of these factions would make great. It would make a great feud heading into the pay per view. I really do think that it's gonna happen like that. Don't be shocked if Frankie Kazarian and also maybe somebody else on uh, wow, the Super Elite do get more involved in it. But don't be shocked if it's also Kenny Omega not being involved with it and then it being like I don't know Adam Cole, Young Bucks against I don't know like Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. That they would make for it. I can see that 6-man tag team match because all for naught I really do think that Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson will get their rematch. Um, I'll talk about it a little bit later. I mean, in our first take, we were talking about Hangman Paige coming back, but we'll talk about that later. It'll tie into this talk a little bit more. But I kind of want to keep it one by one, keep it in order here a little bit more. But I really do think that there's going to be a rematch between Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. It makes the most sense. Bryan Danielson wants it. Kenny Omega is all against it. But I think in the coming weeks, in the coming months, leading into Full Gear, which is November 12th, I think. No, wait. No, November 13th. November 12th is going to be the Saturday Dynamite heading into the pay-per-view. So the 13th is going to be Full Gear, which is literally a month from today. They literally have 1 month from now to get all the matches ready for the Full Gear. And I think tonight's episode of Dynamite will... Or actually, not tonight's. That's right. This week it's
Saturday Night Dynamite.
Saturday Night Dynamite. I really do think that Saturday will lead into the road of Full Gear, and they'll start really connecting the pieces together. Same thing with Rampage and whatnot. I really do think they're going to connect the matches together. Because right now, a month away from the pay-per-view, you're like, where are they going to go? Like, they have no matches planned for the event. Usually this is right around the time where they kind of do, kind of don't. You have 1 month away. Like, there's so many directions. Like, I'm so confused of like, what. I mean, there's a few things that I already know that might happen heading into the pay-per-view that are kind of okay. That kind of makes a little bit more sense, self-explanatory. I didn't have it written down, but Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy, I can see that being a match at Full Gear.
I could actually see that being a hair versus hair.
Don't be shocked if the coming weeks have Matt Hardy starts bringing that broken Matt Hardy gimmick back. I really do think it's going to happen. If not, it's alright. I think it's still going to be an Ultimate Deletion match. It might still be a big money Matt versus Orange Cassidy.
I think it would more so lead to like an actual like payoff of a hair versus hair between the two. But then again,
You know what? I can see it this way. Ultimate Deletion match. Orange Cassidy throws Matt Hardy into the Lake of Reincarnation, and out comes broken Matt Hardy. I think that would make the most sense in storyline is that Orange Cassidy throws him in the Lake of Reincarnation. It's it's one of those you know, House Hardy matches. He's thrown into the Lake of Reincarnation. Who comes out? No better than delete, delete, delete. Broken Matt Hardy comes out, and I think the fans at home and the fans they're there in attendance are like, whoa, holy shit, Broken Matt's back.
yeah,
So it makes the most sense. I really do think that that's going to be a match. And I would be kind of upset if they didn't go that route. Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy makes the most sense. Because of everything that's been happening with the Hardy family office and kind of Orange Cassidy and the Dark Order, which is weird. But it makes the most sense. I really do think that in the coming weeks, you have 1 month away until the pay-per-view. Do it. You got to build up for the pay-per-view. Please. For the life of everything that there is AEW right now. Do the right thing. Push for Matt Hardy versus Orange Cassidy. Matt Hardy, it's a match that Matt Hardy really doesn't have to win. But it's also a match that Orange Cassidy, probably should win to boost him up there. Same thing with Matt Hardy. This is a match where he can really shine against Orange Cassidy. Have that kind of thriller match. The theatrical type of style match that, is that kind of style match that he likes to do at the House Hardy compound. So I really do think that's the one. But going forward, the current TNT champion, Sammy Guevara, beats. Hey, that guy kind of looks familiar. Oh, another guy from WWE at that jump shift, Bobby Fish. Man, was that a great match. But I think it was a match that was best for both men, especially the veteran helping out Sammy Guevara really push himself forward as a TNT champion.
Say what you will about Bobby Fish, and here's the whole another WWE guy jumps ship. Just shut up with that. Seriously, because it's stupid. Just hearing every single person say, "Oh, here comes another WWE guy that jumped ship." It's I get it, I do, but honestly, where else do you think they could have gone besides AEW? I know technically Bobby Fish was doing some stuff with MLW before he signed with before he signed with AEW, but honestly, that match really showcased who the hell Bobby Fish is and was before he went to WWE.
Right.
And it's
he was actually able to showcase his pro wrestling prowess.
Well, not to mention, his entire run in WWE was kind of overshadowed by the fact that he was mainly just a tag team guy.
Right.
They barely wanted to showcase him as a singles guy. And it's okay, while it's fine that you want to make him a tag team guy with, Kyle and with Roderick or whatever, but at this I think it was mostly Kyle anyways because of that history that the two of them had together in Red Dragon in Ring of Honor, but let the guy be a singles competitor.
Right, exactly. And I think that AEW is going to make him a singles competitor and really could help that younger talent out. I think he's somebody that, could be like that CM Punk kind of guy. Somebody that can go in, have these great matches against the younger talent, and make them look really good moving forward. And there's nothing wrong with that for AEW. There's nothing wrong with having CM Punk going out there, yes, winning matches, but also helping out the younger talent. Same thing with Bobby Fish. Yes, he did lose to Sammy Guevara, but he's also competing on Dynamite Saturday. Who knows? He could win that match. He could, really move forward.
Let's
Who
not
knows?
forget-
He could go after the TNT title once again. I don't know. Or
Let's not forget, though, he is also going up in a match on Friday before Rampage airs.
yes, against Bryan Danielson.
Against Lee Moriarty,
I have
the newest signing from AEW. I'm not too familiar with Lee Moriarty.
No, I'm not either at all.
But I'm sure it'll be a really good match. But also
Also,
on Friday
to
before,
note, AEW is really pushing the gun to trying to compete
Yes.
with SmackDown as much as possible.
Yes.
That first hour of Rampage, the kind of buy-in is to compete with the second hour of SmackDown.
Yep.
But the difference is, one's going to be on national television, one's going to be on YouTube.
Yes. I mean, granted, but a lot of people are saying this too, and I completely agree. Competition brings out the best of both promotions.
Yeah, I
And
agree
even-
that
and
it
even
will.
then- but even then, it's like, there's still that concern in me of like, oh, AEW shouldn't do this because look at what happened to WCW. They did this exact same thing, and look at what happened. WCW was bought by WWE.
I
So-
understand it, but the big difference is AEW is not doing a lot of the same things that WWE is. WWE during that time was very much pro wrestling. Yes, it still had that sports entertainment type feel. Same thing with WCW. The thing that
WCW was not pro wrestling. It was sports entertainment through and through.
see, that's the big difference. WCW was trying to be as much of WWE as possible.
Yeah.
AEW is actually
The
being
opposite.
is actually being a professional wrestling show.
Yeah.
Not trying to be sports entertainment. They're not trying to be the same as WWE. They're trying to be different, and they're making it work that way. That's the
So-
only difference why I think that it's going to be that competition this time around
Yes.
is going to be better than competition 20 some odd years ago.
And to put it in perspective, let's say AEW is the current day ECW.
Right.
Like, so, because ECW, think about it. ECW in the 90s originally started out as like, oh, it's just a sub-brand of the NWA. But then, once Shane Douglas tossed the NWA championship on the ground, that's when ECW was like, okay, we have something here. Let's throw out all the rules you've ever known about professional wrestling or sports entertainment, and let's make our own rules. Throw out the disqualification and count-out rule. Throw out the, referee, like, whatever, all this stuff. We're going to be extreme.
Well,
And,
the big difference is that
ECW
AEW
revolutionized the wrestling business in the 90s,
Right.
and AEW currently in the year 2021 is revolutionizing the pro wrestling business.
Yeah, I would be agreed with that. And the big difference is like AEW is slowly working on just the wrestling. Yes, they still have promos and other stuff like that. But
What are you doing?
how should WWE really feel when most of the time, AEW beat them out a couple of weeks where it was just mostly wrestling, not really the talking. Like that's just that's just what's happening. That's just the world of wrestling right now. Is that people are caring more about the professional wrestling world than the sports entertainment world. As far as that goes, it is good for both brands. But if you think about it, might it be better for AEW moving forward? Because now they have that pressure of they gotta put on the best matches. WWE can still try to put on those best matches, but how much of that is just going to be like, well, we're still going to do whatever, we want because we're WWE type of thing. So, yes, it's on YouTube, but it's still going to be some good matches. I mean, you got Bryan Danielson.
Yes, Bryan
YouTube.
Danielson is going up against Minoru Suzuki. That match itself is going to be worth watching,
Exactly.
even if it's on YouTube.
Right. Moving forward here, American Top Team. beat down the Inner Circle. They issued a 6-man tag team match for Saturday Night Dynamite. I'm okay for this. I really do think that, Inner Circle and American Top Team are going to get involved with this. Will they interfere in the match? I have no idea. They're probably not. They'll probably, Inner Circle will be out there, or, American Top Team will be out there, but Inner Circle will be out there to stop them, type of thing, or vice versa. But I think there's going to be a beatdown between, some of the members of Inner Circle and some of the members of American Top Team. But if there's anything about this match, it is going to be the in-ring debut of Junior Dos Santos.
Yeah.
The former UFC heavyweight champion is going to get in the wrestling ring.
If you had told me, 2 years ago or so that Junior Dos Santos would be stepping into a pro wrestling ring, I probably would have just laughed in your face and called you crazy.
Yeah, I would have called you crazy too. You'd be like, there's no way that a former UFC guy, will step in. But, backtrack now. I'm like, oh shit. American Top Team really is getting Junior Dos Santos in the wrestling ring. And it's crazy to think about.
Well, that's the thing, though, too, is, nowadays, you can't even really, question it that much, or even really
you can't because
put it down that much, because a lot of mixed martial artists, not necessarily, UFC guys, but a lot of, people that trained in mixed martial arts or whatever, but even some former UFC guys are actually going the route of pro wrestling. They're like, okay, well, UFC, mixed martial arts, I've already put in enough time for that. Why don't I still be involved in a physical sort of sport in some way and just go the pro wrestling route?
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
Yeah, so, I'm all for it. I think it might lead into a match at Full Gear. I think this is something that, as we talk about things going forward, I can see this potentially being something. Yes, Chris Jericho hasn't really been involved too much with AEW because he's still touring with his band right now and is trying not to get hurt. Good for him. But the thing is, too, this has some big, match feel, and I think it's really going to help Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page excel as a tag team moving forward. What better way to do it against Jake Hager, Jake Hager, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara,
the people no more.
The current TNT champion. What better way to get Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky going forward, even if it's a loss, but to go up against the Inner Circle, somebody that's got 30 altogether has over 30, maybe even 40 years experience at this point. It's really going to make Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page really go up. So I really do think it's going to lead into a pay-per-view match. I don't know how you think. What do you think about this? Do you think
it's definitely going to lead to a pay-per-view match of some sort between Inner Circle and American Top Team. As far as all the other people in American Top Team are concerned, don't be surprised if you see Paige Van Zant maybe having a match against somebody in I feel like eventually, right now, it's just Junior Dos Santos stepping into the ring.
Right.
But I feel like eventually we might see more of American Top Team in the AEW ring. Don't be surprised.
Right.
That's
exactly.
all I'm gonna say about that. Don't be surprised if you see more.
Yeah, it's probably gonna happen. Will they be involved in the wrestling ring? Will they be involved outside is also a true question to be asked. But moving forward, there was a new title revealed. But no, it is not replacing the TNT title. It's actually going to be a brand new championship. We talked about it in episode 7. We're going to specify a little bit more on this episode. Now, AEW will be moving to TBS starting January 5th, which is very soon. Sooner than later, it's going to be there. So, but it's going to be a brand new championship for the women's division. The TBS
Yes.
title was unveiled on this past week's episode of Dynamite a week ago. Now, if there's one big old true question, who's the front runner? Who do we think is going to be the front runner to win that championship? Of course, there will be a tournament that will be going on to crown the very first TBS champion. But if we had to look at all the candidates and all the top women in the company right now, who screams first TBS champion?
That's a tough call because honestly, like, you wouldn't think that it would be Jade Cargill because
Especially
would think
with,
that
I really do think
I
that she's
think
going to
she's
go up
more-
against Britt Baker.
Yes, I was gonna say I think she's like kind of the front runner for the main women's title. The TBS title, I would say maybe Thunder Rosa.
Right, I think it screams Thunder Rosa big time.
Maybe even Nyla Rose. I'm not entirely
Nyla Rose. Yes.
Nyla Rose is a tough one to say.
Yes, I can probably see her eventually getting another women's championship, but right now her momentum has really been not
Her momentum is kind of diminished.
Yeah,
yes.
ever since becoming the AEW Women's Champion and losing it, she has just gone so far, under with, her
She's
momentum
definitely going
right
down
now.
the card.
Yeah, she definitely has, and it's just like...
And she's also gone down in the rankings.
Yeah, she's gone way down in the rankings. Right now, the top ones, are Jade Cargill, are, it could be Hikaru Shida, Thunder Rosa, other women are out there. Another one that could be on that list, Serena Deeb, even though I don't know if she's actually signed to AEW, but...
Yes, she is.
She is?
Yeah.
Okay, Serena Deeb, I think is somebody that can scream TBS champion. Mm-hmm. Thunder Rosa screams TBS champion. Hikaru Shida screams TBS champion. Maybe a Jake Cargill can scream it. How about this? Ruby Soho.
Yes.
Where the hell has she been after her little stint?
Yeah.
Getting the WWE treatment yet again type of thing so
I don't
far.
know if I would
Come
go
on
that
now.
Far. I don't know if I would go that far, but
I
at the
think
same
she
time,
also screams a TBS champion. And
Yes,
don't
definitely.
be shocked. Don't be shocked if that's the route that AEW goes and gives Ruby Soho the TBS championship, because that would be such an AEW thing to do. Okay, you came here, got that title shot, and lost, but we brought in another title that you can be the face of that title. So don't be shocked if on here she is somewhere on here, right there. Don't be shocked at this, woman right here gets to be the face of the TBS title and gets it. Speaking of going forward, I have this written out. Should MJF fear Darby? Darby is something else. When he has people going up, he has those kind of videos where like he's kind of downgrading his opponent heading into a match.
Don't get Darby motivated is basically what Jason is saying. Don't get Darby motivated.
Yeah, don't get him motivated.
Because when he is in game mode, he will bring his A game. Like, he will go all out, no pun intended.
I think he will go all out against MJF. And I think they are actually going to be going up against each other I think on Dynamite this coming week, honestly. Either Dynamite or Rampage, I can't remember. But I think they are going up against each other. I don't think it's going to be a Full Gear match.
If you ask me, though, I think it should have been saved for Full Gear. I don't know why you would waste it on free TV. Because this...
But then again, there could be, like, I don't know, somebody getting involved or something happening where it eventually will lead into a match where it's no outside interference between the Pinnacle and Sting or something like that. So don't be shocked that that's the route that they go with MJF and Darby Allin. But I think MJF should fear Darby Allin. Darby Allin is nobody to take lightly in his ring, even though he is 100, 60 pounds of soaking sweat, basically. But the stuff that he does, man, it makes him look like he's freaking 240 pounds in that ring. Like, he's just something else. He is just an amazing man. That coffin drop is just lethal every single time you see it on TV or see it live, which I have. It's pretty lethal. But going forward, still with Darby Allin. Darby beats Nick Comoroto in the most uninteresting match ever, but I guess it's just something that they had to throw together to make Darby look strong heading into his match with MJF. Now, of course, we'll talk more about MJF and Darby a little bit more, but with Darby getting that win, I mean, Nick Comoroto, yeah, you're just that jobber at this point. I mean, you're not really going anywhere,
And it's kind of sad too for Nick Comoroto because like you could definitely build him up as like this huge monster heel.
But Marty, this ain't WWE.
Well,
That's not gonna be happening.
I get it, but at the same time, it's like he's this big bulky dude that they could be building up. And
I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can understand where some fans are like, well, they got all these guys, but they're only pushing like the main ones, and very well could be true. But they also are pushing a lot of the ones that they bred themselves. So there's some truth behind it, and then there's like, well, there's guys like Adam Hangman Page, there's guys like Jungle Boy, there's guys like Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara.
Pretty much all your homegrown talent.
There are guys that are homegrown that are still getting up there in talent.
Yeah.
So don't say, oh well, the AEW is only breeding the guys that are. No, they are not. Kenny Omega, he was in WWE homegrown. He is somebody that was bred from Indies and also New Japan and now AEW. So. Yeah. And he's currently your AEW World Champion. So
here's the crazy thing though. He had an opportunity to potentially sign with WWE, even going back as far as like he was in WWE's developmental territory at one point. He was in Deep South Wrestling and just never even once thought about wanting to potentially go to
and he made
it's
the
not
right
that he
move.
didn't potentially want to go to WWE. He would have wanted to go to WWE back when AEW, like, in a way, first formed. Because they planted the seeds in 2018. And then in 2019, All Elite Wrestling formed. Tony Khan got all the, formulations all situated, and then here we are 2 years later and AEW is still going strong.
Right, exactly. Moving forward, Dante Martin does come out, but to some shock and surprise, Malachi Black meets him and stands behind him, and then the lights just go off and then he's not in the ring anymore. What does that mean? What I have no idea what that could mean. Could it mean a match at Full Gear? Does that mean?
No, actually, they're gonna compete this Saturday on Dynamite.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Dante Martin will face off up against Malachi Black. Of course, we'll talk about a little bit more of that whole situation going forward. But I guess we'll keep on moving forward. I think it'll lead into, I think it'll just lead to a match. I don't think it's going to lead to anything else. But don't be shocked if Malachi wins, ends up beating the crap out of Dante Martin, and to no surprise, somehow Cody Rhodes comes out, tries to be the whole babyface, still against that whole boo type of thing. But then again, who knows? If he comes out and shows that nice side, and puts his differences aside and helps out Dante Martin, maybe he can get those cheers in Miami. Who knows? Because
here's the thing that I think they're doing, at least for here's the thing that at least I feel they're doing with Cody is like Cody is kind of like that heel who thinks he's a face.
Yeah,
So,
probably. I mean,
basically like a Bob Backlund, but at the same time, it's not entirely the same as like, that heel who thinks he's a face. But, I mean, he's trying to come off as a face, but at the same time, it's like nobody is even remotely invested in his whole like face character anymore.
Right.
So it's not so much of like, oh, he's a heel who thinks he's a face. No, what it feels like to me is when everybody was booing Roman Reigns when Roman Reigns was a face.
right.
So, like, pretty much everybody's sick and tired of Cody not necessarily being, like, force-fed down our throats, but at the same time, it's like they're tired of his booking.
Yeah.
And that's very much the same thing that happened with Roman Reigns before they decided to turn Roman Reigns heel.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, it sucks for Cody. I have said it on here. I could see Arn helping Cody turn into that like heelish persona and pulls the trigger. It's tough to tell what could happen in this whole sense of the matter. But don't be shocked if Cody does get involved and Cody says something to Malachi's like, "I want one last match against you. If you beat me, I'll call it. I'll hang up my boots. But if I beat you, I don't know, some kind of outcome." So I honestly, it could be potentially leading to like a retirement match. I think it's kind of like what they were teasing between them, but like kind of didn't happen. So don't be shocked that that's what they kind of tease in a sense. So plus he's got his hands involved in being an EVP, even though he doesn't exactly have the same power as he once did. But again, going forward, Serena Deeb beats Hikaru Shida. But man, seeing that match, is Serena Deeb showing a heel side?
Seems like it.
It seems like it.
She beat down Shida after the match, tore up the trophy. Yeah, I think it's leading towards.
I really do think. I think it's good for her. I think her being a heel. I mean, look how she did with being a heel in WWE.
Yeah,
she can play it. She can play it. So I think her being her playing heel in AEW is great for her moving forward. Yeah, it would suck to have a heel TBS champion, but if it goes that route, I think she would be very credible as be like, hey, look, I am the TBS champion. There ain't no woman in the locker room that can beat me. Have that kind of whole persona. So, and then, somebody, and then, like, don't be shocked if, like, she ends up winning it, and then, like, Ruby Soho, like, comes out and be like, no, I'm that woman that can beat you type of thing, So, I'm hoping it could be something like that. But if it doesn't end up going that route, I'm okay with whoever wins it, as long as it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Going forward, MJF throws a challenge to Darby. Darby and MJF will face off. But man, I was kind of shocked. Who are these guys in the mask? Oh well, it's just the Pinnacle. It's just Dax and Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler beating down on him. Then it's Wardlow and then it's MJF in the suit coming out there and beating the living crap out of Darby. But man, Darby got thrown into that garage, and I was seeing it. I was like, holy shit!
Yes.
Well,
it was not a good. Did not look good for Darby.
And then
if Darby keeps doing this shit, he's going to shorten his career.
Yeah, of course he will. But you see that. Do you think he's going to be 100% heading into that match, or is he going to be?
Absolutely not.
Or is he going to be feeling it?
And if he says he's going to be 100%, he probably will say he's 100%, but in actuality, he's probably like 80%.
But the thing is, like, he goes into those matches even about like 70, 80%.
Yeah,
and he's like 150%. He doesn't show it. That adrenaline. He's an adrenaline junkie, man.
Definitely.
He goes into those matches like pain. What pain?
Yeah.
Like That man got thrown downstairs, came back the next
That
week.
man's pain threshold is very high.
Yes, it is. Super high. So,
So
I really do think that, again, this ties into, should MJF fear it? Darby? I don't know. That might be your question right now. He's come back from other instances where he's gotten thrown downstairs, gotten thrown around, and, basically broken, bruised, and scarred.
broken, beaten, scarred.
Yes. So he's going to come back from this potential beatdown and he's going to beat the living crap out of MJF. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. So he's definitely not going to be 100%, but it's not going to matter in this match at all.
No.
So we talked about it. Lio Rush is back.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. He didn't come back.
To be coming back in a manager role.
Yeah, he didn't come back to be a wrestler. I think he came back to be a manager. And who does he want to manage? Well, right now he wants to manage Dante Martin, but he also wants to bring Matt Seidel in there. And what ends up happening? Lio Rush is like, you know what? Matt, we're going to give you CM Punk. We're going to give you CM Punk.
I can talk to my people and get you a match with CM Punk. And honestly, CM Punk versus Matt Seidel,
I think it's a good match.
I'm all for
It's something that's never happened before.
I was going to say, even though
they were both in WWE at the same time,
WWE,
but their paths never crossed.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, they might have. Maybe on ECW. Who knows?
Maybe in a house show. Maybe.
But to my knowledge,
they weren't on ECW together.
But to my knowledge, I don't think their paths ever crossed. Like, the former Evan Bourne and then, of course, still CM Punk. I don't think their paths ever crossed. But
and if they did, it probably was on a house show.
I would be totally fine with oh, well, I have it here. Lio Rush looks to give Dante Martin his guidance. Will Dante accept his guidance or not? Well, clearly it looks like he's accepting his guidance. Now, the real question is Matt Seidel can accept Lio Rush's guidance? That I have no idea.
Matt Seidel kind of looked a little, concerned about it, or not really, willing to commit fully to Lio Rush's guidance, but
I think if, he goes out there and helps them potentially get a surprise win against CM Punk, which would be give him a little bit of heat, I think would be, showing, maybe I can actually trust Lio here. And honestly, Lio Rush being the manager worked in WWE. I think it's going to work even better in AEW. I really do think that it's going to be something that is going to benefit him big time. And honestly, I'm okay with him being the manager because, he managed Bobby Lashley before he was MVP, and man, Bobby Lashley, of course, it didn't lead to him being a WWE champion.
Hit him with the pose.
But it helped him lead into being the WWE champion with MVP. So, there you go.
I mean, after all, Lashley smelled like money and he looked like money.
Exactly.
He still does.
So, of course, it was a return. But it wasn't the return I was really expecting as the Joker. But it's the return that makes the most sense. And of course, we'll talk about a lot of it here. So this is going to be a bulk of our conversation for the Dynamite aspect as we end our Dynamite talk. Now, Adam Hangman Paige returns as the Joker. And it's not the first time that he has showed up as a Joker.
Yeah.
This is the second time, but this time in the ladder match.
Yep.
Not in the Casino Battle Royal. This time in the ladder match. He comes as a Joker, comes in, beats down a bunch of guys, does climb up the ladder with Jon Moxley. Throws out Jon Moxley off the ladder and then grabs the big old poker chip as it replicates that he's going to get that AEW World Title shot. I did have it right now. Is it his time to win the World Championship? Now let me explain myself here. I don't think it's going to lead into a match of Full Gear, as there will be an AEW World Title tournament. I think Bryan Danielson is going to win it, where Kenny Omega is going to have no other choice to have a rematch against Daniel Bryan.
Bryan Danielson.
Bryan Danielson. But there's always a but. I think Kenny Omega will retain and beat Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson again. But I really do think there's going to be one of those one-off Dynamite matches where Adam Hangman Page will beat Kenny Omega for the AEW title and end his almost 1 year reign.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it would be, almost.
I think it's
1 year.
coming up on a year.
So, it would have been a year in, I think, January or something like that.
No,
December.
December.
Yeah, for Winter is Coming. So
either way, Kenny Omega's closing in on a year.
Yes, closing in a year.
I would like to see Hangman just end his streak
Hangman
before he can officially
will not go up against Kenny Omega. You heard it here. And don't be shocked that that's the route they're going to go. He is already got that spot to be the number one contender. But I don't think he's going to be involved with the world title eliminator tournament. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you have him go up in that casino
when he's already got
that number one
lined up? Yeah.
Like, why would you have him in that eliminator tournament if he already has that number one contender type of thing?
If you were going to do that, it would basically mean that his casino ladder match win didn't mean anything.
Exactly. So that's why I say
that would be a WWE move.
That's why he's not going to be involved with that. That's where AEW is going to get that right. They're going to be like, well, he won that big old poker chip. We're not going to have him in that tournament. It's going to lead to Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega II. I've already said it here. It's going to be a 60-minute time limit. No, it will not go the full 60 minutes. I think it's something that can be 40, 45 minutes at most. I think it's going to be one hell of a main event. It screams big money match, and I think it's going to be put on one hell of a match in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the Target Center.
Yeah.
It's going to be one hell of a match. It's going to bring the house down. It's going to be something that could potentially be a 6 or more star match between both of them because it just screams that kind of match.
I don't know if it can be 6 stars if you're not in the Tokyo Dome.
Now, what I want to know is, could Adam Hangman Page use the poker chip as the Money in the Bank and cash it in after Kenny retains? That's what I want to know. I want to know if it has that kind of power where you could hey man, I want to cash this in.
Hey.
That would be totally fun. That would be awesome. What better way to end Full Gear in a way to have frickin' Adam Hangman Page win? You know what? Why doesn't he put it on the line and be like, hey man, why don't we turn this into a triple threat match? I would be totally fine with that. I think that would take away from Bryan Danielson.
Well, then you'd get those people of oh hey, we're repeating history of and we're doing something that WWE did of oh yeah, we have this world championship match set in stone, and then Bryan Danielson comes right in, kind of like earlier this year with Roman Reigns and Edge.
Yeah,
but
I don't think. Yeah, I really don't think that's gonna happen. But don't be shocked if like I was saying before, they're gonna go up against each other, and then somehow a couple weeks after the fact on the Dynamite, we're gonna have Kenny Omega versus Adam Hangman Page for the AEW World Title, and then I'll be like, yep, that's the date that Kenny Omega is gonna be losing the World Title, and it all makes sense. And who do I think is gonna be the next in line for the title after Hangman Adam Page wins it? I think it's gonna be Bryan Danielson, and I think he's gonna turn heel.
Maybe.
I think this is going to be resulting into maybe a heel turn because I think Adam Hangman Page has that babyface type of feel to him. But who knows what could happen. Now we go from Dynamite into the whole Rampage side of things. CM Punk beats Daniel Garcia, but were we really shocked? No. CM Punk gets the win there.
No, something worth mentioning though, he did bust out a pile driver.
Yeah, he busted out a pile driver.
First time he used it since 2013.
And he also busted out the Anaconda Vice.
And tapped out Daniel Garcia with it. Yes.
Now, going forward, the Lucha Brothers beat the Acclaim to retain their titles. I kind of figured, but they claimed at least you got your title shot. You were the number one contenders there, and you got your title shot. It was an alright match between both teams, but I think the Acclaimed is in the right position. I hope their momentum really does get back into what it was before they got into some problems.
It would be nice, yes.
I think they're young talent that can eventually get to that point.
Yes. And
Is it going to be right now? Probably not, but
they're definitely proving that they can be potential like tag team champions.
It's a little interesting. I don't know what can happen with the whole tag team titles heading into Full Gear. Lucha Brothers doesn't really have a set opponent, but I'm sure in the next coming month they will. And then I think it'll be something that'll make sense.
Not to mention, they are also still the AAA tag team champions.
And they're going to be going up against masked opponents. They're pretty much close friends to Johnny LD, though.
I did see something that is very interesting, and I did not think about that. What if Andrade's partner or tag team that he picks is AOP?
Oh.
The Authors of Pain.
Yeah, but they weren't technically masked. I mean, yes, they were, but will they stay masked is another thing. And I think AOP coming to AEW would really bolster up the tag team division. It would be a move that kind of makes sense. But then, of course, everybody's bitching, oh, well, again, as another WWE team. Yeah, but the thing is, like...
Where else are they going to go?
Well, the problem is, they were NXT bred, but they went to the main roster.
And got squandered.
It got squandered because...
Vince didn't get their... Vince doesn't... Well, here's the thing. Vince doesn't like tag teams, and Vince doesn't, but here's the thing.
First off,
they're big men.
First off, you
love big men.
Yes.
Utilize them as big men.
Yes, you did give them the tag team titles eventually. But the problem is...
didn't mean much.
Didn't mean much because they didn't have...
The kind of tag team division that, would even help them.
They didn't have what's his name? The one former manager.
Paul Ellering.
Yeah, yes. They didn't have Paul Ellering as their...
Yeah, they had Drake frickin' Maverick.
Yeah, exactly. So
what's Drake Maverick gonna do to elevate AOP? Really nothing. But
I also put this note on. Jade Cargill did get the win, but man, Jade Cargill is looking strong, but she looking strong enough to be a women's champion.
I think so. If you build her up well enough. I mean, if you keep her undefeated, she can definitely be in line for
I think so.
Women's Championship.
See, right now...
What's going to hurt her, though,
I don't know if she's going to end up winning the AEW Women's World Title. I just don't think it's the right time for her. I'm not discrediting her. I really do think that she could maybe be the TBS champion. Maybe be in line again for the AEW title. Who knows? If they give it to her, fine. They give it to her. At least now they're giving her the TV time that she deserves.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, what's really going to hurt her in the long run is her first loss. That's really going to hurt Jade Cargill's
I definitely agree. So, AEW is in a really tough position. Do you give her the title and have Britt Baker... Who knows? Britt Baker could even go after the TBS title. But the thing is, they're in a tough position. They have something really going for Britt Baker. Do you have her retain a title, or do you have Jade Cargill, who is undefeated and been looking really good in her undefeated run? Do you give her a title? AEW is in a really tough spot. They don't know. How do you?
Yeah,
how do you keep the momentum of Britt Baker and how do you keep the momentum of Jade Cargill going?
Right.
What do you do in this match? It's kind of tough. Having Jade Cargill lose right then and there at Full Gear for the Women's World Title, it's going to derail her momentum big time.
Exactly, yes.
But don't be shocked if she ends up being in that TBS title picture, too.
The only thing I can think of about Jade
Cargill... And don't be shocked if then she, wins a lot of those tournament matches and builds up on momentum, and then, who knows, it could be her against Thunder Rosa or her against Serena Deeb or somebody, or Ruby Soho, and have and that being a tournament match.
Well, that's the thing, though. I was gonna say, the only thing I can think of that would really like kind of keep Jade Cargill in a loop of like a women's championship like rankings or whatever is like, okay, she loses her first match. Keep her off of TV for a while, let her like, build herself back up slowly on like maybe dark or dark elevation, and then boost her back up to like that Rampage or that Dynamite, and then have her start getting like some wins and some momentum back to eventually challenge again.
Right.
But this time I would probably like just have her win.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe not the women's championship, but maybe the TBS championship.
Right, exactly. This one was like interesting. Ricky Starks ends up beating Brian Cage, retaining the FTW title in a Philadelphia street fight.
What are you
by
doing
the help
with Brian
of
Cage?
Yeah, what are you doing with Brian Cage? I get it. I can understand. He has a whole thing with Team Taz, and you kind of want to get it. Personally, what I think is going to happen is it's going to be one of those like buy-in or first matches on Full Gear, and just get it done and over with. I think they're saving Brian Cage having a big win against Ricky Starks until the Full Gear pay-per-view. I think that's what's going to happen.
Maybe.
And then I think that eventually you're going to start seeing him branch away from the Team Taz thing and actually can start getting involved right now. But if you think about it, it makes the most sense with him still going up against Team Taz, because until he can really move forward, he's got to get Team Taz out of his sights.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. Personally, I don't understand why they have to keep on using the FTW title and even defending it on Rampage or Dynamite at this point. It just makes no sense to me. It's just a title for Ricky Starks to have. I was watching a little bit of Rose to the Top. They considered Ricky Starks before he got hurt to be one of the top wrestlers. And honestly, I think before he got hurt, he was. He was one of those top wrestlers. Now after he come back after that injury,
his momentum is kind of derailed a little bit.
You really don't think so, but he is still one of the best.
He's still a star.
He's still one of the best talkers on the mic right now. And yes, he is like I think he's one of those stars. But I just like part of me is like, stop having him go up against Brian Cage. We've seen it already. It's just getting annoying. It really is. Like, have this match at Full Gear, get it done and over with, please.
I would be okay if they completely branched off like the FTW title for Ricky Starks and had him go, have him re-enter the, because don't forget.
If you want to do anything with Ricky Starks, have him team up with Will Hobbs and go after like the tag team titles or something like that.
Well, that's what I was gonna go towards as well. If you want to have him do anything as like a singles guy, TNT Championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Full circle. He debuted in a TNT Championship Open Challenge against Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Full circle. Have him challenge Sammy Guevara or whoever the TNT champion is.
Right, exactly. And everybody, I think that's going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell.
This was a long one today.
Yes, it was a long one today. We had a lot to talk about. With boxing, with Impact, with AEW. AEW right now, there's a lot of where they can go with heading towards the pay-per-view. Of course, we post these episodes every Wednesday, or try to. Maybe I could have something, boost a post on Facebook. I would like to hear what kind of matches would you guys like to see heading into Full Gear? I kind of would like to hear your opinions, and then, share.
Even leave them in the comments if you want.
Yeah, leave them in the comments. I would like to hear, what would you like, to see AEW? They have a month away from the pay-per-view. What direction would you like to see? I mean, we've talked about what we would like to see, but we want to kind of hear what you guys want to see, and we can, talk about that.
We appreciate all your feedback.
Yeah, and if you want to, throw your feedback, do it on our social media. Follow us on Tinkle Sports, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Please like, and have
Please
the
comment,
and subscribe.
subscribe,
We are
tap
Tinkle.
the bell notifications.
Yeah, all on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. If you do that, you will get notified of every episode of every show and episode that gets brought onto Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. Don't forget to check out Tinkle Sports Talk. It's every Sunday at 9 a.m. Don't forget to check out Out of Turn 4. It's every Tuesday. Don't forget to check out Friday Night Tinkle. Is every 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Zach Carmine as he talks about everything that there is with sports and anything that's relevant in sports. He always has special guests on. Don't forget, we will also probably talk about some breaking news, as breaking news did happen. John Gruden had to resign because of former emails that came out in 2011. Of course, probably Tinkle Sports, talk with Brian Hummel and Zach Carmine. I mean, it wasn't with me, but it's all right. They wanted to go live about it. They talked about those situations there. Please go and check out that video. It is on YouTube. Make sure to watch all 7 of the previous episodes of No Final Bell. We would really appreciate it. It would help us really, further this going forward. So, again, this is No Final Bell episode 8, and honestly, we'd like to see you guys again for episode 9.